Hello and welcome back to Rage Gaming and a little PSA style talk about a major issue within Diablo 4 and the future of the game. The devs have done this commendable job at dragging the game from an unfinished state to a pretty decent one in regards to the endgame for Season 2. The big glaring issues are behind us in many cases, but now we need to look at what we have right now that we're building on and the big concern that I want to discuss. It's come up recently in the community how ilevel and items actually work, the affixes and the fixed stats most of all, how different unique effects actually roll and how that connects to the ilevel of the item. The current system just doesn't work and it's a major issue because currently all paths lead back to Durial. Farming Durial kill after kill, hour after hour, as well the unbelievably best thing to do with your time in the endgame pre-Abattoir and still quite so post-Abattoir. Let me explain why ilevel 925 is so important beyond just your weapon and why it's a huge problem that Durial is still the only reliable way to get your 925s. This needs to change in Season 3. Alright, so there's two sides to this coin. We've got chess pieces here as great examples of what I'm going to talk about. One side of this coin is the inbuilt stats and RNG affixes you'll find on a piece of gear. Currently, our highest ilevel item is 925, like this one, and it provides the highest possible rolls and stats. But you might be aware that 925 isn't entirely required for certain things. The problem with that is you might be basing your builds off of old information that's not necessarily correct that might be causing issues in the Abattoir for you. So items roll the highest affix potential at a set ilevel. For example, this ring here is ilevel 854. If it was to be 860, 870, I couldn't actually increase the potential of these rolls. The 7.2 to 13.5, that won't go up any higher even if this was a 925. This max cap of 925 used to be lower before Season 2, but they increased it with this release, and that did change things a little bit. I'd like to credit the source of this information to d4craft.com, and is a website I would strongly recommend in general for your help in future seasons. There's a chance that what we talk about today, the numbers might change in the future, but the concepts will remain true. And so that website will keep things updated that you can go check, which is a good thing to do. In any case, currently to my knowledge, the minimum ilevel needed for a max roll on your affixes is 841, which means if you look at this helmet, this is below 841. Because that's below 841, you can see that my max potential max roll life here is 1,259. Let's look at a chess piece that is actually, above that 841. The max roll of the max life is 1,310 now. Not major on its own, but significant when, say, this is on all of your pieces. It's only truly accurate when you look at your amulet and your rings, aka your jewelry. These increases don't seem to go up beyond 841 in any way, but that's not the case certainly for your weapon, which needs to be 925. Every ilevel increases the DPS, but it's especially not the case when you're looking at the armor pieces, meaning your chest, your helm, your gloves, your legs, your boots. These all come with that inbuilt armor stat at the top, which might be more on some pieces, like say your legs or your chest piece. And what you can see here is this ilevel 925 chest piece has 1,661 armor, compared to this lower ilevel one that has 1,432. So this is significantly less armor. That's over 200 less armor, and armor really matters at tier 100 and certainly in the Abattoir. You might think something dangerous like, well, the extra armor I get is only going to be like an extra 50 or an extra 100, based on the ilevel of the chest, but the reality is actually different from that. It's even more important. That is because of the affix that you're going to want on your armor pieces, especially in the Abattoir. Total armor increase, and as you can see, that's a percent. This is based on your actual base armor that's increased by all of the pieces of armor that you have on that provide this number. So if you have all 5 pieces here at 925, the base armor number is going to be the highest it possibly can be. That will stack up to a bigger number, which will then be multiplied by these affixes of the total armor increase by a percent. So 20% of 10,000 is going to be more than 20% of, 6,000. This is a serious difference in numbers though, and will greatly reduce the damage you're taking from physical damage sources, which really matters in the Abattoir at the higher tiers because the enemy levels are so high they're breaking through the armor at lower numbers. At the higher tiers, you basically are required to have roughly 15,000 armor while actively in combat, which probably means while disobedience is going, to properly survive. In conclusion, armor items like your helm, chest, and so on, they need to be 925 ideally. But this goes beyond that. when we think about a specific kind of aspect power found on certain aspects, but best shown on the unique ring X-Files Corroded Signet. As you can see, X-Files has a damage effect, dealing X amount of damage per proc, in this case 38,610. You can see that this roll can be anywhere from like 34k to 41k. What doesn't change here is the percent chance for the damage to actually occur. It's always going to be that 50%. As you can see, it's not highlighted, so if I had somehow like an iLevel 1 version of this ring, if that was possible, it'd still say 50%, but the damage potential of this 34 to 41 would be significantly lower. Let's say you get a lower roll than 925, maybe it's like 860 or somewhere around there. You could have a roll of like 30k to 37k damage potential. That is a massive reduction in the potential damage and DPS of this item. We're not talking like 10k less a hit, but it's core damage that scales with all your other damage modifiers being hugely reduced. This could be like 50% less compared to the highest roll on just one item. And this is a key item for damage over time builds at that. So what does that mean? Well, it's not good. It actually really sucks. It means that any world drop of this ring, which is really rare by the way, is pretty much instantly garbage. It is not going to drop at iLevel 925 in the open world because the chances of that are somewhat comparable to Uber Uniques. It's extremely likely that if you did see this X-Files drop in the open world, it'd be somewhere in the 800s, resulting in a significantly weaker version of an X-Files than if you got a 925 one. All paths, like I've been saying, lead to one place. The only place you can guarantee the drop will be 925 at its eye level, and that is the mind-numbing, miserable Durial farming experience, just like the Uber Unique farm. But it gets worse in a way because this applies to other aspects that work the same way with scaling damage numbers based on eye level. If it didn't drop from Durial, it's unlikely to be a 925 version, which means it's very likely to be not worth picking up or just instantly dismantling. Why would you need the best items, these huge power increases stacked together at the highest power levels? It's because the Abattoir exists, and it's a pinnacle challenge that they're going to do in the future. It might not be the Blood Forges we've seen, but it'll be a different version, and you're going to need the maximum power in prep for that. So why is it so hard to get an iLevel 925 version of every item in the game when there's already so much outside RNG? You know, what affixes will actually be on that item? Will it be the right weapon type you're looking for? We already have enough RNG in what we're trying to get for the item, but the fact that the eye level really matters this much, and the only place you can really reliably get it is Durial, sucks, because it just means you should be farming Durial rather than doing anything else if you're trying to get the best gear in prep for the pinnacle content. This is going to happen again, as we know they're going to do future versions of that. It is harder to get an X-Files from any other content compared to Durial, and in those rare situations where you get one not from Durial, it's not even good. This damages the loot big picture for the game. It makes it uninteresting when anything actually drops, because if you weren't killing a Durial, it's probably trash 99.999% of the time. Season 2 has done a good job at solving key issues missing from the endgame, like hey, unique target farming or Uber Unique farming possibilities, a better endgame progression path, but my biggest gripe that was introduced in Season 2 is the Durial black hole. It very much feels like in Season 3 that black hole is going to pull us in yet again, and it's going to be mind-numbing. And now we know what we know, it's just too efficient to do that than anything else. I am really hoping they find a different solution to this problem. What could that possibly be? Well, just better rewards from every other form of content, competitive options beyond specifically Durial. Make it so every target boss outside of Durial all become level 100 and all drop 925 better loot. Then we actually have more options than at least just Durial farming. Make it so tier 100 nightmare dungeons exclusively drop 925 item level. So if you get a unique drop there, which is, you know, the RNG you just won, hey, make it a worthwhile version for us to use. Make Uber Unique drops actually happen in a variety of combat, and certainly make Uber Uniques drop from more than just Durial. I'd like that in general, but at very least, whatever the next pinnacle challenge, that should have comparable drop rates to Durial or whatever. Basically, I just want them to let us to decide what kind of endgame content we want to do and reward it all equally. I can appreciate that 925 items are meant to be harder to get, right? But I think once you've reached, say, a tier 100 clear, an Uber Lilith kill, a Durial kill, it should almost like upgrade all the other versions of the game. Almost like an achievement, like, hey, you did it, you beat the hardest version of that type of content, so now all the other stuff are rewarding better 925 drops. It'd just be nice if an item drop would mean something in the true endgame when it wasn't specifically dropped by Durial. I'm not sure they're going to fix this in time for Season 3, and if they don't, it may very well mean more mindless Durial farming, which simply is not fun. And if it's not fun, why are we having to do it? At the core of everything, the stuff you have your players doing should be fun, and variety really helps with that. Hopefully the massive backlash to them forcing renown upon us again in Season 1, and how they realize they have to stop doing that shit, will make them realize they need to make changes about Season 2 to 3 in a similar way. But yeah, I hope this talk was interesting or even useful to you, but for now, I've been Hollow, you've been you. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you next time.
Josh, Cotton, and Hollow with the videos, dropping the humor like a hammer on your tippy toes, bringing entertainment on a daily arrangement to take our insanity and turn it into entertainment. Yes, I said entertainment twice, to reiterate that it is nice to look into your faces on a mostly daily basis when you let us in your homes to make the whole world a stage. Goodbye.